It's your girl Jada J. What's up? What's up? So this is the Haves and Have Not season 6, episode 7. Right off the gate, I want to shout out Rel C. What's up? Dorn Provis, how you doing? And Lola. You guys all commented on my last video, which I did not get to the comments on. I'm sorry, but I did hit that nice young love button to show you that I had some appreciation. Okay, and I'll try my best to get to them this week if you so ever even comment. So appreciate y'all, bad love. So this is the Haves and Have Not season 6, episode 7. What's the name of it, Jada? What's the name of it? What's the name of the episode? I know what the name is. I'm just quizzing you guys. Every 6 months is actually the name of the episode. Okay. So right out the gate. Oh, did not take notes for this week either. So if I'm missing things, let me know. So we opened up with right where we left off last week. Remember, Quita and Candace got into it last week, or should I say Candace just was beating her down. That, like, it wasn't even a fair fight. It wasn't even fair. She charged at her, and that was that. So the cops come in, and they got them hemmed up like this. They can't even move. They can't even move. Like, they got them in the guillotine right now. They got them in the guillotine. So they cussing each other out. She's talking about, you crackhead, you witch. Like, she was putting a lot of emphasis on that B word. I was like, dang, Tika, do you really have something against her? And so they was just cussing each other out. And so they pulling Candace off. Next thing you know, D.A. George comes in. And he like, Miss Young? She gonna say what? Like, she don't even care. She's reckless at this point. The adrenaline is going. She's like, give a heck about what you're saying to me right now. And he's telling her this, I'm gonna need to take you to the back and this, that, and the third, and whatever. She don't really care. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, he was like, I want to talk to you about Quincy Maxwell. When they get back there, she gonna say, who? He said, don't act like you don't know who that is, please. That was his sister. And then she said, I don't know that crackhead. He said, you know what? You're really feminine to be an animal. She said, you have no idea. What do you want? He was like, well, enlighten me, Miss Young. You went to law school, pulls this freaking bracelet out. And it's like, well, how much DNA do you think we're going to find on this bracelet? She goes, I don't know, and I really don't care. He was like, well, I'm sure you will, because once we find out, it's going to be bad for you. She was like, actually, you can't use that because the warrant that you found was all with the body and stuff like that. And you can't use that because the body was thrown out. And he was like, good job, Miss Young. He was like, you do know something. And so he was saying, oh, but wait a minute. But guess what? We can actually use this stuff if we have a witness. She said, well, you don't have no mother effing witness. He said, oh, Jeffrey Harrison? She said, Jeffrey is not a witness to anything. He's not going to testify, so stop. He was like, are you really sure about that? Are you sure? She was like, I know him, and I know that I didn't do anything. But here's what I didn't like, okay? Minutes into the conversation, Candace was kind of trying to fend for her and Jeffrey. Then she said, you know what, F Jeffrey, and just started going for herself. She was like, well, I know I didn't do anything. You know what I mean? Like, which, what? So he gonna say, she was like, well, and I know my rights, and I want my phone call. He said, there's no need. She said, what? He said, you're free to go. She was like, oh, well, then let me up out of here. He was like, wait, we have to get you to sign off on some paperwork. She said, what paperwork if the charges were dropped? Because first, when he brought her in there, he was like, we need to talk about your charges. And she was like, I didn't rob that man. I don't know what you're talking about. He was like, those charges are incidental. I'm talking about Quincy Maxwell. And then she said, who? And blah, blah. So she's like, what charges if the charges were dropped or whatever? And by the way, when he said the charges of Quincy Maxwell, she said, you must be mistaken because I don't have any charges, with the murder of Quincy Maxwell. So what the F you talking? He was like, yeah, because of a bad warrant. She said, no, because I didn't do anything. See how he tried to trip you up? Like, oh yeah, because of a bad warrant. She said, no, I didn't do anything. So let us not. You know what I'm saying? George is starting to get on my nerve, but you know what? Candace is getting on my nerve too. So it's difficult to find. I'm just rocking with her because she's a sister at this point. That's it. There's nothing really else that's, you know what I mean? Just. So she said, what paperwork if I don't have any charges? And he goes, well, because you did come through these doors, so we want to make sure you're properly processed. So she was like, okay, whatever. He was like, I'm going to grab the paperwork and you're going to be free to go. So he leaves. They bring in Jeffrey. Jeffrey comes in. He's like, what the heck am I even doing in here? Like, what's going on? She going to say they playing games with us. They playing games. And he was like, can you believe my mother turned me in? She was like, yep. And you know they're recording everything in here? He's like, yeah, I'm sure they are. She's like, good. I'm glad you know that. He said, so aren't you shocked that my mother turned me in? She was like, nope. And I don't know why you're shocked, quite frankly. And he said, you know what? You know what's funny to me? why you're not in here? Because my mother turned you in. She was like, well, I didn't do anything, so she's not going to turn me in. And at one point, she did kind of try and tell, like, she tried to kind of cover for him, because when he said, I'm shocked that my mother turned me in. No, like, I can't believe she turned me in. She was like, well, I don't know why, since you didn't do anything. Like, you know how you know what I mean? Trying to get him, like, play along. Come on, we didn't do anything. But Jeffrey was like, F that. Why didn't she turn you in? And she's sitting there, Jeffrey, we're not about to have this conversation right now. She's like, she didn't turn me in because I didn't do anything. He said, Candace. I know you. What did she? He goes, what did you promise her? Like, what did you? She was like, Jeffrey, I didn't do anything. That's why I'm not in here. And he was like, okay, let me find out you two are working together. It's gonna be a real big problem. She said, this place has already got you paranoid, huh? He said, no, you have me paranoid. He said, and don't forget, you know what you did. Didn't appreciate that. Once again, what type of partner in crime situation is this? Y'all are ready to give each other up at the drop of a dime. And then at one point, he even goes, officer, officer. And she goes, Jeffrey? He said, oh, what? You don't want me to talk? She said, Jeffrey, just keep your mouth shut. Things are going to be fine. He was like, you just want to control me like my mother wants. Jeffrey, newsflash, baby. Everybody in your life right now wants to control you, from Wyatt to Justin to Candace to your mother. So it's not just, you need to get a clean slate from everybody except your dad. He's the only one that don't want to control you. And maybe if he would be controlling you, Jeffrey, you wouldn't have been so stupid and went down to that courthouse. The one time Jeffrey decides to reclaim his manhood in his life is at the worst time possible. Because I'll say this. I respected the fact that Jeffrey went down to show his mother that he's not scared. But Jeffrey, what was the purpose of you taking that leap if you're not ready for the consequences? Jeffrey, you're nowhere near ready to go to jail at all. So why would you come down to the courthouse trying to make a statement when your mom told you don't come to the courthouse? So you coming down that led to Justin being outed to his wife and led to you being locked up because she did what she told you she was going to do. And you decide to reclaim your manhood, but you're not even ready for the consequences, Jeffrey. You're nowhere near ready to go to jail. Period. Period at all. So I don't know what that was about. But Candace kind of low-key threatens him and says, Jeffrey, you know me. She said, shut your effing mouth. They bleeped it out. And then so the person came in there and was like, you're free to go, Miss Young. And then so Jeffrey's like, I'll see you soon. Like, kind of saying, like, keep playing with me. I'm going to get you. Didn't appreciate that. This whole thing is going to crash and burn. But what I do know, well, we're not even going to get into it right now. We're just going to switch on over. So Candace gets, processed and blah, blah, blah. She up to the desk, the little lady who was detective or whatever, who's letting her leave, is going to say something. I mean, and George, by the way, tells her that her record is clean like this. Like, there's no nothing on there. There's not even proof of the arrest. So the lady, the detective, is like, well, you must know people in high places because they want the charges dropped. They don't want any of this on your record. It's never happened before. She's like, who do you know? Candace goes, Jesus. Then they give her stuff. And she was like, yeah, Jesus is a good God. I said, Candace, please be quiet. But it was funny. It was funny because I'd have been like, by minding my own business. What? I mean, did she think that Candace was really going to tell her who she knows in high places? Are you serious? Anyway, so Candace starts walking off. David spots her. He goes, oh, thank God, Miss Young, that you're here because now I don't have to track you down. She said, what do you want? He said, Candace, my son is in jail for your crime. She said, no, he's in jail for his crime. So F her for that because there's video cameras and all this stuff around. So didn't appreciate you. Okay. So he goes, okay, let me rephrase that. He was like, he was trying to protect you. That's why he did that. And Candace goes, he did. Like, she admits that he was trying to protect her. And he goes, so you need to come and turn yourself in so that Jeffrey could be exonerated. And she goes, do you really think that's going to happen? And that's when I realized just how heartless Candace can be. I mean, we knew that already, and I'm not really saying, but Jeffrey getting on my nerve too. I'm not trying to glorify Jeffrey, but I don't know if he would have some type of conscience about it. Like, now, I'm still annoyed by Jeffrey, but at this point, I might be trying to get you locked up, Candace, because first of all, you wasn't even going to come see Jeffrey, period, to even talk to him. The only reason why you even saw Jeffrey, Candace, was because you got arrested. And you knew Jeffrey was locked up because Oscar told you when you guys were talking in the bar one day. He said, I I would get my like money and stuff in order just in case old boy decides he wants to talk. She was like, what are you talking about? He was like, that Harrington kid, he's in jail. She said, Jeffrey's in jail? He said, yeah. So which you knew, and you wasn't going down there to see him. You got arrested. So you had no choice but to see Jeffrey. So I'm already not appreciating that. And Jeffrey on this punk stuff, he's getting on my nerve too because you dug your own grave, Jeffrey. And then now because you're not ready to go to jail, you're upset that Candace is not locked up. I can't with these two, man. But anyway, so she gonna say, do you really think that's gonna happen? Do you really think I'm turning myself in? He was like, so you're gonna let Jeffrey suffer in here? He don't belong in here, Candace. He's not gonna make it in here. And she goes, let me ask you something. Do you know Oscar? He's like, nah, who's that? She said, oh, the man that you hired to play with my emotions and steal my money? He said, well, that was Jim's money. And then she was like, oh, so you do know Oscar? He was like, and what if I do? So what? She was like, well, in that case, if I'm getting a cold, I'm over everybody on set tonight. Because one of y'all came in sick today. I'm not going to say who because we're live. And now I'm sniffling. So I'm not appreciative of that. So, yeah, she gonna... Where was I even at? See, this is what I'm talking... Somebody's fired. Because I can't even... I lost my train of thought. Dang, what was... I'm really lost, you guys. Okay, wait a minute. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. She goes on, then in that case, payback's a B. And he's like, yes, it is, Miss Young. And you better make sure you're ready when it comes around if this is the route that you're going. She said, oh, I'm ready for it. In biblical proportions. Because remember, David said it will be quite biblical once I come after you. Like, it's that freaking, celestial and all the other bullcrap. So, she ends up leaving. And he said, don't, Miss Young. And you know what? At this particular point, I don't know how long Jeffrey's going to be in jail, which is kind of getting on my nerve. In this partnership with her and Veronica, I'm already over it. Because that's what Jeffrey was asking her. What did you promise her? And she lied. Because she said, I didn't do anything. So there's no way she was going to have me turned in. But the truth really is that Veronica said, if you help me take down David and this Erica chick, come on, we cool. So that's what she did. So it's very strange to me that she's taking down the person that saved her life, his father. So anyway, we switch on over to Miss Quita. Quita she's out, and so she's leaving the police station. Oscar sees her, and he's like, oh, I need to talk to you. She said, I don't know you, white man. Just, just like, you know what I mean? Just, he's over him because he's white. Like, I could kind of get... No, let me stop. So, he's like, oh, no, I think you do. You have something that I want. She said, I ain't got nothing that you want. And he said, I'm the one who bailed you out. And she was like, listen, I'm not talking to you, white boy. It's all this. He said, listen to me. You see those cops over there? They're going to take you and arrest you if you don't talk to me. She said, okay, fine. Where you want to do this at? He said, well, do what at? She's like, you want me to turn a trick, right? He's like, that's not what I'm talking about. Quita. Like, in this moment, she looked so freaking runaway slave that it was just everything the Jedi said, it just came to life in this scene. Because that wasn't even the first time that... Anyway, she was like, you trying to turn the trick, right? He was like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. He was like, that credit card that you had or whatever, what's the PIN number for Wyatt Cry and everything? She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He was like, yes, you do. She was like, nah, I'm telling you, I don't. She was like, okay, fine. I had the PIN number, but it don't work no more. He must have changed it. And, and then he was like, okay, so what's the account? She was like, I don't know. It's some offshore account. I couldn't read it. It wasn't in English. He was like, was it in Spanish or French? She was like, I don't know. And then she was like, how am I supposed to know that? And he was like, you're right. You probably wouldn't know. She said, and what is you trying to call me dumb? I said, Quita, please go sit down somewhere, Quita. I can't. So we find out that Quita actually had his PIN number. I'm confused as to how she would have gotten that. But she, I guess, had been using the card before that. But that one particular time, the police ended up catching her. So anyway, she's like, the PIN number don't work no more. And he was like, okay. So then he's like, listen, here's $500. She was like, okay, well, come on, let's do this. He's like, I'm not talking about turning a trick. Dang, like, could you stop bringing that up? That's how I was looking too. Quita, stop it. So he was like, okay, that's not what it's for. Just call me if you come across any other information or anything else you want to. Can you do that? Can you call me and let me know? She said, shoot, for $500, I do you right now. Quita, stop it. For real. She really needed to stop, y'all. I'm telling you, if I have to let somebody else go, I will. Moving on. So Quita, oh, by the way, yeah, Quita walks off. And then you have this cop comes up. Black dude. Didn't appreciate this. So he pulls the brother aside. And the brother was like, so, like, how's it going? He's like, not good. And he's like, okay, well, that's too bad. Where's my money? He's like, how about I get you another grand if you do one more thing for me? And he goes, what is it? He's like, let me talk to you over here. Didn't appreciate that he grabbed him by his bicep. That read a little strange. Just, never mind. Just, I know I'm not the only one. So, then I'm going to say we switch over to David. He's calling Veronica up. Didn't like her dress, didn't like her hair. I'm over Veronica. Period. So, Veronica's coming up in that, dress that she got on, if you want to call it that, and that tablecloth that she's wearing, and David is calling her. She's gonna say hello. He said, Veronica, essentially the conversation was, we need to get Jeffrey out of jail. She said, no we don't, I'm not getting him out. He's exactly where she's exactly where she needs to be, and she was gonna testify against me, so I beat her to it. He said, who is she? What are you talking about? She was like, Jeffrey. He said, Veronica, stop it, Veronica. And he was like, she goes, no, she got what she deserved and all this. And she gonna say, where's that hole you got on your arm, talking about Erica? And he was like, don't you dare talk about her like that. And she was like, just know when I do find out where she is, I'm gonna have her sent to you cut up in little pieces, okay? He said, don't you touch a hair on her head. She said, oh, you're so overprotective of her. Why are you so angry? He's like, does that make you angry? She said, yup. He said, good. Now leave her alone and let's get our son out of jail. She said, David, I'm not getting him out of jail. Done. And so, stop wasting this time. He was like, you know that Jeffrey didn't do it. You know it was Candace and her brother. She said, no, you know it was Jeffrey who did it. Dang it, Veronica. And then she was like, you know what? I'm getting bored of this conversation. And she hung up the phone. Here's what I'll tell you about this. David, you starting to, I can't, with David is my boy. I'm not saying that, but this is kind of, you keep calling Veronica, that's a lost cause. And then at one point he even asked her, are you drinking again? She said, once on the weekdays and twice on the weekends, honey. He said, I can't talk to you like this until you're sober. So, I'm pretty sure she is drinking again, but obviously hyped it up just so he would get upset. But what I will say, like I said about this, is Veronica's a lost cause. I don't know why he hasn't just deciphered already that he's going to have to go over her head to get things done. This is getting a little too much. You keep calling her. There's nothing. You don't have anything over Veronica. That's the only way she would be doing this right now is if you had something over her head. You don't. And evidently you have no... Oh, yeah, okay. So, sorry, y'all. Somebody just sent me a text message about a mechanic for my car because it's acting a bum. So, but anyway. Yeah, so I'm going to need David to just... How do you have no connects, no nothing as a judge? Veronica's never even made it to judge status, and she has all these connects. And we know she's corrupt. So there's a lot of people that are afraid of her, so they do what they're told. And then, she has people that they owe her one. So but David, you're a nice dude, and you do things usually the right way. We know you done a couple sketchy things from back in season 1. But for the most part, you are nice dude, so you should just have people that are loyal to you, and you don't. You have no connects, no nothing. Which is getting on my nerve, David. On my last nerve. Moving on, we're going to switch on over to Hannah and Derek David. So they're over at Catherine's house, chopping it up, having a good time over tea, not coffee, y'all. And so she's telling this story about the one time this guy, older guy, real old guy in church, started to act like, she was trying to see, are you okay? And then she said he got to pretending he was shouting and he caught the Holy Spirit. She said, and he popped up and he grabbed my chest. And then he was like, no. She was like, yeah, I was so shocked. Like, oh my gosh. I was like, now Tyler, did you write this story in for real? Anyway, so she was like, yeah, I could not believe it. And then he was like, it's really good to see you smile. And she's like, thank you. He's like, yeah, when I came to your house the other day, you just seemed so sad that I wanted to hug you. She was like, well, that would have freaked me out. Just so you know. He was like, that's why I didn't do it. She was like, good. I'm just telling you, it would have freaked me out. He was like, why? You don't like to be held? She said, not by no strangers and not by no old men in church either. And he was like, this was really nice, but I'd really like to take you to dinner. And she was like, Derek... And he was like, come on, you said that this was an exchange for that date. She was like, I did not say that. And then he was like, yes, you did. You said tea over coffee. And she was like, okay, I said that. It was a cute scene. It was a cute little scene. And he was like, come on, can I please take you out? She was like, Derek. He's like, come on, please. And then she goes, okay, fine. When? And then he's like, thank God. And he goes, what about tomorrow night? She was like, oh my goodness. And then she goes, okay, but I don't have anything fancy, so no place fancy. He was like, listen, you could pick a place. Where do you want to go? She was like, no, I'm saying you could pick the place, just nothing fancy, because I have no fancy clothes at all, period. So nothing fancy. And then she's like, I gotta get back to work. He's like, no, come on, stay and talk or whatever. She's like, I gotta get back to work. Don't you have something to do? He was like, no, I told you, I did it already. And she's like, okay, well, I gotta go. Okay, but I see you when I see you. She goes, I know that heifer gave you my phone number, so just use that, because I know she already did. And he was like, yeah. And then so she leave about the kitchen, and Catherine is running from the kitchen trying to act like she ain't hear nothing. She said, Catherine, I saw you running. I know you heard our whole conversation. So she come over there to sit down. And she was like, no, I didn't. She was like, but you're going on a date? And then she's like, so what do you mean you don't have any fancy clothes? And she was like, hello, there was a fire. Like, I don't have a... She was like, Hannah, she was like, don't you dare, Catherine. Don't start pitying me and stuff like that. She was like, well, what if I get you a makeover? She was like, I'm happy just the way I am. Thank you. You know? She's like, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, what if I get some girls from the spa to come over and hook you up? Girl, you got to start showing off your curves. And I was over it. Just, Catherine, please. She was like, Catherine, I'm fine and happy just the way I am. She's saying, where is this housekeeper? I'm supposed to be over here helping. She was like, I'm having them come over. She's like, no, you're not. I don't want a makeover. And she was like, fine. And then Hannah goes upstairs. She said, you crazy. Because Catherine is crazy. So then we're going to switch right on over to. And by the way, let's hope Derek don't have that lion on his chest. Let's hope we don't even get to a point where we even find out. Because hopefully Hannah's not going to be getting down and dirty. Because that's the only reason we would see it. Or just if Tyler did like a shirtless scene with him. But I feel like it would be more probably like... if something was happening with them and then, you know, his shirt came off and then she sees the lion, that would be crazy, y'all. Hopefully it don't happen. But that would be crazy. So, alright, anyway, so let's switch over to Candace. Coming over to see Erica at the house. So she come on in, she said, what are you doing here? She said, excuse me? She said, I just mean that you probably shouldn't be here because David is going to be coming. She said, shut up. Don't tell me what to do. She said, okay, so how are you? She said, really, Erica? She was like, I'm just asking, how are you? She said, do you want me to slap you in the face? Is that what you want? Now, that was a valid question because you didn't had your boy War. Before he died, you didn't have him try to set me up. My son just died. You been knew about it before it all hit national news. You been knew about and you gonna ask me, how am I doing? For real, for real? Like, are you serious? So she was like, listen, she was like, so do you have, she said, no, I don't have the money. She's like, I know. I came here to tell you not to get it. She was like, wait, you don't want me to get it? She was like, not now. It's way too soon. So she was like, so he got you staying up in here, huh? She goes, yeah. She was like, why? She's like, well, you know, I made up some story about an abusive ex trying to stalk me or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Candace was like, yeah, well, that's not going to work for long. She's like, yeah, I know. I'll think of something. So she goes, I need you to get some account numbers. I want you to tell me his mother's maiden name. I want you to get me his blood type. She said, okay. She said, and don't wait too long to get it. She said, I want everything from him. So she's got a lot of disdain for David. I'm kind of over it. So she said, remember, she is in cahoots with Veronica, so maybe that's a part of it too. She said, I want every account number. She said, well, there's nothing here. We just moved in. She's like, yeah, I know. So you better figure out a way to get this stuff. And don't wait too long to get it. Okay, I'm hoping maybe Erica's gonna have a change of heart, but every time I think she will, it's just like, she's such a hateful witch that she's not. And then so, Candace says something, and then Erica goes, yeah, when Candace said it's too soon to get it, Erica was like, yeah, I was thinking that. And she goes, did I tell you to think? And she was like, no. And she goes, exactly, so shut your mouth. And I was like, oh, okay, Candace, okay. See, this is difficult, because Candace is getting on my nerve, but I hate Erica even more, I think. So I was fine with it. So, and did anybody think Erica was maybe trying to get a little buck in this scene? I mean, she was still acting pathetic and desperate, for sure. But, it was she had a little bark to her bite, I think. A little bite to her bark. So Candace leaves and tells her, you need to get this stuff together. All right. And by the way, Erica even says you shouldn't be here because David might come back. She said he won't be back anytime soon. He's trying to get his son out of jail. All right. So Candace leaves. So let's switch right on over to Wyatt. Wyatt is calling the police station talking about yeah, I'd like to report somebody's been using my credit card. And so I like to report it. They were like, yeah, we already put out like this fraud alert and everything like that, so you're good. And he was like, okay, so the person on the phone asked him, well, how much money are you missing? And he goes, well, $3,700 or so. So that's why I was like, dang, Quita actually had access to his accounts. Like, she took money out. So he's like, yeah, they took about $3,700. So could you guys probably reimburse me? And they're like, yeah, we're just going to need you to come out, fill out a police report, and we should be able to do it. So we know this is like a setup. So then Officer Jefferson, who's Oscar, he calls him and he's like, hello? He's like, yeah, is this Officer Jefferson? He's like, yeah. He was like, I just wanted to, something, I can't even remember, y'all. I can't do verbatim. Hold on, y'all. So he calls Oscar, who's pretending to be this excuse me, Officer Jefferson. And he's like, oh yeah, we spoke up, remember, because Oscar called him before, but Wyatt hung up on him, and he called him like an arrogant little prick or whatever. So now Wyatt is calling these names. Wyatt is calling him, and he's like, oh yeah, we spoke a few days ago about a police report. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna need one. He's like, okay, well, why don't you give me the account information, and we'll send it over to you. He said, no, I'll come down to the precinct and do it. He's like, wait, you're coming down there? He goes, yeah. And then he's like, will you be there? He goes, yeah, I should be. Just give me about an hour. I'm on the phone with, somebody else right now. And he's like, yeah, okay, but what precinct? He said, the 11th precinct. I think that's next to you. He's like, yeah, okay, thanks. All right, bye. So we know he was trying to do it the easy way, just get his account information over the phone. But Wyatt said, F that. I'll come down and do it. So now Oscar had to shimmy his way on down there because the setup is with this officer who's at the station. So he got down there. Okay, so I don't know if but it is, y'all. Okay, we're gonna get to that. All right, so let's switch over to Landon, and we find out her name is Adeline. Remember last week they were talking about him being in love with Charles. He was denying it, but alas, he is. So this week she come on in there. She's like, Landon, you need to not make it so obvious that you're in love with him. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm not in love with him. She was like, yes, you are. He said, you know what, Adeline, I don't want to talk about this. And so she was like, why? Because I'm telling you something that's true. He said, oh, well, how's the senator? She said, don't. He goes, and how's his wife, by the way? She said, really, Landon, this is what she was like, now that is a low blow. He says, so you don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about this. She was like, well, you know what? If you can't handle the truth, maybe we can't be friends. He was like, are you kidding me? She's like, no, I'm serious. She's like, I'm just trying to help you out. But if you don't want to listen, I'm trying to help you keep your heart guarded and blah, 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 blah. So she ends up leaving, and he's like, well, maybe we don't need to be friends, witch. And he called her the B word, and then she left out. Now, I'm going to have to say, witch, you are a hypocrite because you keep calling him on this situation, matters of the heart and blah, 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 blah. Yet you sleeping with a married man, witch? For real, for real? And you're going to try and dish out advice? Is that really that's what we do now? And then you're going to get touchy like, oh, snap, how dare you bring that up? Well, why you keep bringing this up? And he told you he didn't want to talk about it. Even though she's right, Landon really do need to stop. So I'm just going to finish with Landon and him because they actually stopped and came back. So Charles comes in. Landon got him a drink. They chopping it up or whatever, and he's saying this is going to be a tough 4 years. Landon said, 8. He said, Landon, I don't know about that. He was like, come on, sir, it's at least a minimum of 8. And these people love you. You're doing a great job. You're really catering to the crowd. And he was like, I really want you to make sure that my kids get as much normalcy as possible. And Landon's like, I'm on it. And then at one point, Landon bends down and like grabs his shoe. He said, what are you doing? Landon's like, I'm taking off your shoes, sir. He's like, I could take off my own shoes, Landon. Thank you. He's like, now, with my kids in the normalcy, I want you to make sure they're getting as much of it as possible. They're going to be teenagers when we're done with this. And I don't want the press to hound them. The press can have me if they want me. But my kids, I want them to be normal kids. I understand that there's things that are going to come with that. But I want you to make sure they get as much normalcy as possible. And Landon's like, I got that. Anything you need, sir. Anything you need. And then, I want to say that then when Landon's getting back up from trying to do his shoes, and Charles was like, Landon gonna say something, the more you resist, the harder it's gonna be. I'm sitting there like, Landon, now you really starting to do, and then he was like, resist what? He was like, you're 8 years in the White House. And he was like, come on, Landon. He's like, I'm telling you, you got this in the bag, sir. You have this in the bag. And he's like, but I need something from you. And he was like, Candace, he was like, no, I'm not talking about her. And that's when he tells him about his kids. So it went like that. But Landon is definitely doing the most, for sure. And he tells him to get his, look at his professional briefs, his business briefs, and tells him to, just get out of the room pretty much. And he's like, okay, sir, anything you need, I got your back, anything. See, I would be cool with that if you were not so thirsty, Landon. If this was really, okay, this is my boy, he's cool, I would be fine with that. But you're just so thirsty that you trying to act like this is really your man right about now, just like you did with Jeffrey. So anyway, Landon leaves, and Charles is kind of looking like, something is wrong with him, but I'm going to be okay with it. That's how he's looking to me. I don't know. So let's switch over to Mitch and Benny. So remember, Benny's trying to get this loan for this tow truck. So they go down and talk to Mitch's Uncle Vin. I was over him right out the gate. So he gonna say something, oh, hey, Mitch, how you doing? It's been a long time. Because you trying to keep your hands dirty. You trying to stay out the family business. And he's like, yeah, I'm trying to keep my hands not dirty as much as possible. I'm just trying to stay out of it. He's like, so you been avoiding us? He's like, nah, Uncle Vin, I'm trying to stay cool, And he was like, well, you ain't been doing that, huh? You ain't been doing that lately, huh? Talking about, obviously the restaurant shooting with War. I can't, y'all. I don't know what's going on with my speech today. So they go ahead and have a seat. He gonna say, who's this? He said, Benny. He said, what you bring him here for? And he was like, look, we just need to talk to you about some things. And then so Benny goes, my name is Benny. He's like, yeah, he said that already. Doesn't even shake his hand. He's like, what do you want? He goes, I want to discuss a possible loan. He said, a loan? He said, Mitch, what is this? What you think this is? He's like, come on, man, just hear him out. He's like, I don't need to hear him out. He said, no offense, but look at him. It don't look like he could back up any type of loan. He said, oh, I get it. It's because he's black. Didn't this mother ever come right out and say, you know what it is? And what? And I was like, you know what? In real life, that's actually productive. For them to be 100% about it, so we don't have to question, is this really what's going on? At least he came right out to say, yeah, it's because he's black. He should have got punched in his face for it, whether he's mob or not. But, alas, that's what happened. So he gonna say, you know what it is, and he was like, well, get a load of this. He was like, we owe him a favor. His sister, Candace Young? He said, yeah, who's Candace? He said, she's the one who delivered us War. He said, oh, for real? And that's his sister? He goes, that's your sister? He said, yeah. He said, okay, man, we do owe you one. Okay, let's talk business. So he said, what's the loan for? He said, I need a tow truck. I had a tow truck, but I lost it. He said, what happened? Your tow truck got towed? So Mitch and Uncle Vin, they start laughing. And Benny was like, no. And Uncle Vin gonna say something, it was just a joke. So he's sitting up there, he was like, oh, so you in the same business as Mitch? He was like, yeah, I was, but just things went down or whatever. He's like, okay, so how much you need? He said, about 45 grand. He said, 45? He said, okay, I'm going to give you about 25% interest, everybody. I would have been like, F off. No. No way. No freaking way. Then he goes on to say, 18 grand every 6 months. Now, I don't know about y'all, but 18 grand every 6 months sounds highly unreasonable to me. I would rather have monthly payments. 18 grand, I can't even acquire 18. If I saved up all my coins from now to 6 months, I still wouldn't have 18 grand. So less than maybe around 5, but certainly not no 18 grand. Have you lost it? Anyway, so he gonna say about 18 grand every 6 months. And Benny kind of did flip out when he heard 25% interest, but he was like, is that a problem? He said, nah, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. He said, okay, you know what happens if you can't pay this off, right? He's like, yeah, I got it. He said, you sure? He said, yeah. Mitch was like, yeah, I explained it to him. He gonna say, all right, here we go. Puts down the 40. He says, that's 45 grand. He said, thank you, man, thank you. So they get up to leave. He like, all right, get out of here. He said, and Mitch, come around more often, all right? He gonna say, okay, so they about to leave. And he's like, you know, Benny, once we walk up out of here, I'm not gonna be able to, no matter if you spent the money or not, I'm not gonna be able to call it off. You took the money, that's it. So you still gonna owe 25% interest out of anything that you took out of this restaurant right now. Period. So he was like, all right, man, I'm ready. Let's do this. He'll get a phone call. He's like, man, who is it? He's like, man, it's Veronica. Again, trying to play like he ain't trying to pick up the phone. Whatever, Benny. Because you ended up coming down there anyway. He picked up the phone. He like, Veronica, you know, what's up or whatever. I'm kind of busy. She was like, Jeffrey told David that you and Candace, you know, played a role in the Quincy murder, that you buried the body and stuff. He was like, what? She's like, yeah. He's like, okay, what do you want me to do? She was like, just come down here now. We'll talk about it. I'll take care of it. He's like, okay, I'm on my way. So they leave. Okay. Now let's switch on over to, and I think this may be the final scene. We're going to switch to the house. So Melissa's downstairs doing whatever it is that she's doing, twiddling her thumbs, whatever it is. And so Veronica comes down. And they just pretty much going back and forth. Like, that's their usual now. Their usual spiel is going back and forth. So she goes, you know what, little girl? I'm so sick of you. She said, yeah, well, I'm sick of you too. And then so she was like, if you weren't caring, she was like, your grandchild. I know. And then, so she even grabs her wrist, because remember, she's, attempted suicide, so her wrist, so she tries to grab her wrist and squeeze him. She was like, ow! And then she grabs Veronica's wrist and squeezes hers. So she's over Veronica. She's not really scared no more of her, but it's just like, I don't even know I don't know why she's there. That's my real question about that. So Benny and Mitch, they actually end up knocking on the door. Hold on, y'all. Yes, I know this is poor etiquette, but we're just going to risk it for today. Oh, and that's not the final scene. So, you know what? I'm going to backtrack some. Yeah, let's backtrack. Boom, boom, bam. We're going backward. Let's go. So, Jim gets a knock on the door at the hotel. It's Sarah. So, Sarah comes on in, and he going to say, oh, what's this? She says, all the evidence from the case. He says, so this is all the evidence. The only thing left now is my son's testimony. She goes, yep. And then he's like, okay, well, thank you. He was like, now tell me, Sarah, what do you think? Why? But the camera cut off, so I'm going to just make this quick as possible. All right, so Jim says this. So this is all, my son's testimony is the only thing that's left. She says yes. So he says, oh, what do you think D.A. George is going to think when he finds out all this stuff is missing? She goes, I don't know. He was like, I can't wait to see the look on his face. She was like, I am not looking forward to it. She goes, go. He goes, go home, Sarah. Go. Just go. She was like, I've never done anything like this before. I can go to jail. He was like, you won't. She said, so we're even. He said, no. She said, Jim. He was like, I like taking advantage of you. He's like, I'm just kidding. Go. Go home. And then she was like, I can't believe this. Like, I could really lose everything. He was like, you're starting to bore me, Sarah. Go home. Leave. Go home. I'm feeling the need for a little company. Just how I can't stand Jim. She leaves. We'll be seeing her again. Then we switch over to Veronica's place. The doorbell rings. She gonna say something. I'll get it. Melissa said, did it look like I was getting up? So then that's when she comes over to Melissa and is like, you know what, little girl? You getting on my nerves. She said, well, you getting on my nerves too. And so she gonna try and grab her by her wrist, where she cut herself. And she was like, ow. And then so she grabs her wrist. I was like, what is this? The doorbell rings again. She said, come in. Benny comes in. And how thirsty Veronica is. She gonna say something. Oh, hey, Benny. Something. Melissa said, oh, hey, Benny. He was like, hi. So, Miss Harrington, what is it that you need to talk to me about? She was like, well, let's go on upstairs. She said, be careful in that old stuff, Benny. I forgot. She said, that'll get you messed up. And so they start going up the stairs, and she said, tired, worn out, and she gonna start laughing. I said, Melissa, you doing the most, but I wasn't mad at it. Get her. So that Benny and her go upstairs, and so he was like, so what are we gonna do? She was like, just let me handle it. It seems that Jeffrey has confessed everything, which he really didn't. He just told David, but whatever. And so he was like, so what am I gonna do? She was like, don't worry about it. I've got everything handled. Long story short, she forced the man to take his clothes off. We didn't force him. He's just such a wet, limp noodle that he started being like Benny to take his clothes off and all of it. Let's fast forward. We go downstairs. And then it's a knock on the door. Melissa said, this witch always having so many visitors. Who is it? David comes in. She like, oh, hi. He gonna say something. Where's Veronica? She said, I said hi. He said, hi, Melissa. Can you take me to Veronica? She goes, yeah, she's right up the top of the stairs in her room. Matter of fact, yeah, let me show you. She gonna go upstairs. She gonna say, dang it, the door is locked. And then so he's like, shouldn't I knock on the door? She said, what do you care? Takes something out of her pocket and starts picking the lock. Opens the door. They getting it popping. I'm over it. I can't. And then next week, Benny gonna try and get into it with David. Benny, when it comes to Benny and David, I'm Team David all the way it goes. So just let's not even play games about it. But I'm gonna have to end it right there just because of how many times the camera's already cut off. It's the one and only your girl, Jada J. Mad love to you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.